start seeing that I'm the oldest. My first experience of giving was in my family. It was giving of time. I grew up in a family that gave their time to their community. Giving we weren't in a position to give financially, but because my parents, Andre and Maisie Winkler, and my father was a cousin, were pioneers of the North Shore, they gave their time. My father was called upon all the time. So I grew up in a family that gave their time, and I grew up in a family that gave their time to their community. And when I married Stanley, we continued to do that, but our means changed. And I guess if you're talking financial, the first experience of giving was both financial and time, where Stanley gave his time to the UIA and we gave financially to that. Stanley gave a large amount of time to the UIA.
My first experience also would be, I guess, when I was younger, Dad would not be home on I think it was a Monday night, because he always had a late UIA meeting. And then often I'd wake up in the morning or I'd go to sleep at night with a memory of Dad in his study with like the old-fashioned fax or the paper with the perforations on the side, which was the UIA list. And Dad would be going through, I just remember him going through calling and canvassing.
For me and Stanley, we were both children of Holocaust survivors. And I think they instilled in us the values of the lucky country. And they instilled in us how fortunate we are to have the opportunities that we had. And they worked hard so that we would have an education, so that we would be part of something. And we saw our parents being part of a bigger picture, being part of a community. And I think that is a very strong value that drives us both. We saw an emotional connection, say, with the state of Israel as well, post-Holocaust. And I think there's that old saying, with privilege comes responsibility.
I think, a more kind of a framework was for our family foundation, which was started by my late grandfather, my dad's dad, Henry Roth. He started the foundation, and then the foundation kind of was passed on to Dad and his brother, and they ran it. And more recently, in the past kind of 5 years or so, it's now with our immediate family. So in terms of values, we still, although the way we give and often the way we give is changing in a way, and the level of involvement that the family members have is changing, I still like to be true to his original values, which were, I guess, his vision was 50% Jewish, 50% secular. And then within that was kind of 3 broad areas of health, welfare, and education. And that's kind of the framework that he set up in the foundation. We've changed that as kind of time has gone on. It's far more fluid, far less rigid, but we still like to be true to his values. So we still generally like to ensure that, the values of the Jewish side of it is still satisfied, and then the secular side, and then that we cover, those broad 3 areas. I think it's been kind of a very uniting experience for our immediate family, and even bringing in spouses, for example, and having that really robust conversation around what's important to us. And I think in terms of what we're passionate about, it's where we can make a difference, and it's kind of natural that we gravitate towards things that are quite personal and close to our heart. I think things like this and kind of, increasing the profile of philanthropy, and that's something that's important because it shouldn't only be up to, the wealthy part, the wealthier, and obviously not everyone has the same capacity to give, but people could give time, or, you know, what they can give. So kind of creating, I guess, avenues for people, but also then facilitating things like, you know, guiding foundations, also introducing us to innovative projects like Catch a Fire and the Giving Circle. So really, I guess, being a hub for foundations, but also, you know, spreading concepts around giving and around philanthropy. I think for our foundation is, and I don't know if it was probably my dad who kind of created this term. We use it. It's called the but-for test, and it's something that, you know, we kind of try to be guided by. But for our giving, could the project happen anyway? And that's something that we generally like to do, rather than just kind of give a small amount and then it just disappears. We like to have an impact and show that impact. So, but for our giving, would the project or would the impact be made? And I think that translates then into, you know, the way I've been taught or I've been guided in terms of giving is not only obviously to be guided by your passion and your heart and that, but also making sure that there's some accountability and responsibility. So making sure that you're not only looking at the cause, but you're also looking at the organisation behind the cause, making sure that they're spending the money responsibly, that their accounts are in order, that their cost of fundraising doesn't chew into where your money is actually going. So I think that kind of more business framework has been something that I've definitely learned, and it's changed the way that I look at you know, submissions that come into our family foundation.
And I think for me, as I said, I didn't grow up in privilege, but I was taught that you can always give somehow, and you can always give back to your community somehow. And I think that was good advice for me.
Probably not to kill each other at one of the annual board meetings. So if we survive each year without, you know, still talking when we have our differences of opinion, that would be a good aspiration.
And I've got to say that, I mean, our children have been brought up to be able to have an opinion, and I'm quite proud of that.
No, they have opinions.
And I think as time goes on, I think guidance will be sought from Stanley and I, but I would hope that Ilana, Danielle and Michael will find their areas where they are passionate about, and perhaps they will take more of a lead role. I don't know whether Stanley would agree with that, but that's where I see us heading in the future. That my children will take a more of a leadership role, be more perhaps visible as the image of the foundation, representatives of the foundation.